Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Paige, this is Seeking Alexandria, and guys, today we're taking a minute, we're taking a second, we're taking a tiny moment of our life to appreciate and love Wayne Goss, because he recently came out with his Synthetics collection. It is 4 brushes that I have been just dying to sit down and go over with you guys, and I wanted to do it on camera as a first impression, because for those of you that don't know, I love Wayne Goss. I love his brushes. I love everything about that man. I think he is absolutely fabulous. Like, he's demure, he's so intelligent when it comes to makeup and curating makeup, and he is so incredibly thoughtful in his design, and that is one of my favorite things about him. When he designs a collection, like this for example, he comes right out and says, why would I make more than you absolutely need to do your full face, or to execute this eye look or that? And everything that he does, from these brushes to his original brush collections, and he's even in the process of coming out with eyeshadow palettes, he is so thoughtful in the way that he does it, and I wanted to sit down today, pay a little bit of homage to that, if you will, and to play around with his new brush kit, because I'm dying to play with it. So as I already said, this is a brush collection that is 4 brushes. It is $140. It is available on the Beautylish website, and this is his first ever launch of synthetic brushes. Now this is a big deal, because typically his brushes, if you're not familiar, are 100% real authentic animal fur. Guys, those brushes are absolutely amazing. I would never take anything away from his real fur brushes. I have several, and I find the quality to be fantastic. They apply products like a dream, and one of my biggest concerns with him going synthetic is I was like, man, we're gonna lose like that really classic, amazing, smooth Wayne Goss feel. And I'm telling you, this is the first brush that I grabbed out of the collection. Like, when I first got it, opened it up, had to start touching them. This is the 25S, and guys, it literally feels just identical to one of his real fur brushes. And the reason he says these feel just like animal fur is actually because they treat them the exact same way, meaning that traditionally the ends of the bristles on any given brush that's synthetic are actually cut, and on his real brushes and on his new synthetic brushes here, he actually did not cut the ends of the brushes. They adjust the length and everything inside the ferrule. That way what you're touching is the most natural, soft feel that it could possibly be. And that is how his artisans prepare these brushes. I believe he said he has like 20 Japanese artisans, I want to say, that curates every brush that he has. They're all handmade and hand put together, so the quality is absolutely fantastic. And my other thing about his brushes that I love is the way that they sit and are weighted in the actual handles. They always feel just so perfect when you're holding on to them. So the first thing I do want to throw out there, this is completely my fault, not his. Do you see how these little fibers on the ends here are kind of flared out? When I received this brush, it had this thing on it and it was perfectly wrapped, and I didn't notice when I took this off and then put it back on that I actually bent the ends of this. So I will go ahead and probably reform this once this video is over, but just so you guys know, the shape is like this, but mine has some flare going on. Again, completely my fault, not his. It showed up to me perfect, and then I took it upon myself to screw it up, so that's cute. Now, because these are synthetic, he does say obviously you can use them with creams as well as powders, and he actually spec'd out this brush that you can use for foundation. He said you can do some of this, paint it on, and you'd be good to go with liquid foundation. I personally do not ever apply, or very rarely do I apply, my liquid foundation with a brush, so I'm actually going to just go ahead, throw some foundation on with my Fenty sponge real quick, and then we're going to go ahead and dive into the rest of the powders, but I just wanted to kind of talk through that part. So I'm going to go ahead, mix up a little concoction, and throw it on my face. Alright, so I went in today with the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear. I did about a pump and a half each of the 420 and 405 shades, mixed them together so I'm a little bit bronzy, but not too much. And then for concealer, I went in with the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer in Light Sand. So now that we're ready to set the face, I think you could probably use either of these brushes. I don't think I would use this one for setting it, just because of the way that it kind of drapes along the face. So I think I would probably go in with this brush, and I really actually like the little smack that it has to it. You can see when it hits my hand right here how it kind of conforms and molds to it, and that's actually something that I mentioned in my favorite face brushes, which I will link that video up here. And the reason that I love that technique is because when you're trying to go through, like me, and you're normal to oily skin, sometimes you don't want to press so much product into your skin, and it can be really nice to have a brush that you can just kind of take powder and kind of smack it into your skin, and it will very, very lightly set it with powder, so you're not too cakey, but you're also not completely dewy or unset at the same time. So I think this is the brush I would use for that, and I'm going to be using my Laura Mercier powder here. Now, one thing that I cannot do with this brush is set my under eye. You guys know I have super thick thick, super cakey, super creasy under eyes, and I have to really get in there and be precise. So I am going to go in today with the Sigma Precision P82 brush. This is a great under eye brush, and I'm going to just use this real quick to set the under eyes after I pat out those creases. Alright, so I went ahead and I set my under eyes, and I took the same brush and I pressed it into my big old Hulk wrinkle right there. Because girl, I gotta set that one the same way I set my under eyes. You know how it is. Like big wrinkles, they gotta be set with a little stout brush, and this is just perfect. So I went ahead, I pressed some powder into there, and now we're gonna go in with this guy. So I'm gonna tap this a couple of times in and then continue to tap it off just to make sure that there is a light amount, a light dusting of product on here. You can also dump a little bit into the cap and work out of the cap if that's easier. So I'm just gonna go in here now and very lightly smack my face and set the whole deal. Now, one thing I can already tell you that I am loving about this brush is as I tap it into my face, it isn't sticking, it's not grabbing, and it's not picking up too much product. Oh, guys, this is actually quite interesting. So on this side, I was doing a little bit more of like that pressing, smacking motion, which is how I typically go in and set my face with a brush like this. But on this side, which was completely unset, I wanted to see if it would work for me to kind of lay down product and then press it around, because some people don't like to go in like that. They would rather do a little bit more of a sweeping motion, and I did that on my forehead and it actually worked quite well. Like this brush is just so lightweight that it almost feathers the product over your cheek. Oh my gosh. Now I know what you might be thinking, Paige, why is this significant? Guys, I have never had a brush that would allow, with all the terrain I have bumps, I have acne, I have scarring, I have so much stuff going on that makes my skin uneven, and I've never had a brush that I could do that with while my foundation was wet that didn't immediately lift up the product. Like this, even though my foundation was still wet when I applied that, it still swept over my cheek seamlessly. Like, wow. I had to use, I would say, easily like a third less powder to go in and powder my cheeks, because this brush just took it all over the place in the most perfect veil. Ooh, and I love this too. Look at, I can really get in there with this point and get right around the nose, right around the mouth, and right under the eyes. Ooh, I like that. So if you wanted to use this for like sweeping away bake as well, it fits the contour of the under eye perfectly. So next up, we're gonna go in with bronzer because your girl is looking mighty flat Stanley over here. And I'm gonna go in with my Cheek Parade. I used this recently in my Shop My Stash video, which I will link up here. I tried to do those very, very regularly on my channel because I just love going through and rediscovering old product that we just haven't played with in a while, because so much product is released all the time and I just haven't been able to put this away ever since then. So I'm gonna go ahead and take a mixture of my Hoola and my Hoola Light in here, and I think I'm gonna do that with the fan brush. Now this makes me a little bit apprehensive because I have never used a fan brush like this to bronze before, because typically what ends up happening is it's too sharp or it just gets in there and it gets kind of gunky, and I don't know, I've just never had much luck doing it with a brush like this. So I'm just gonna go in and I'm lightly tapping on the sides of both the Hoola and the Hoola Light and kind of mixing the two shades together. Tap off all that excess because, girl, we don't need it. And what I'm going to do is kind of lightly sweep it, but I'm not just going straight in. I'm kind of taking it on more of an angle. Ooh, maybe hit up here a little bit. Guys, I'm actually loving being able to turn this fan brush on its side and really get into my widow's peak area, because I feel like for me, this is always such a hard area to blend out. And this is like so beautiful and it's so effortless. And again, I feel like I'm using a much smaller amount of product than I normally would. And you know what I really like about this? For those of you that really like an intense cut for bronzer and contour, you can do that. For those of you that want more of a diffused bronzer, you can do that. Like, you just have a lot of control with this. I really like that. Now for blush, we're going to be diving into the Jouer blush book. I did go ahead and talk a lot about this in a recent, I believe it was new makeup tested video. I will link it up here, and I haven't been able to put it down since. So I'm going to go in with the shade Adore Me, which is this guy right over here. Picks up a good amount, not too much. That actually looks so like airbrushed on my cheek. And I feel like, again, with this brush, a little is going such a long way. I feel like this brush is doing such a beautiful job at veiling my cheek and making everything look super, super even, and it's not catching any of my texture, which is always a big issue for me. If I'm using a brush that is a little bit too stiff or has bristles even that are too abrupt or too stiff, which obviously this one is not, it'll go in and it actually kind of grabs the texture, and while it grabs texture, it will actually deposit like too much color, and these brushes just don't do that because they so seamlessly just glide over the entire area. All right, guys, so I went ahead, I moved you in, and it's time to dive into these two eye brushes. One is much more of like a pencil brush style, while the other one is like a fluffy, flat paddle brush kind of style. And Mr. Wayne says that you can do an entire look with both of these, which, just for the record, you guys know me, I do firmly believe I can do an entire eye look with one brush. Like, I'm the queen of I don't want to find another brush, I don't want to dirty it, or sometimes we just find the eye brush that does everything we need. So I completely agree. I think you can do an entire eye look with one or two brushes, and he thinks that these are the two brushes to beat. So I'm going to go ahead and be testing that theory out today. Now, to test these out today, I'm going to be doing a relatively light eye look, and I'm going to be going in with my Urban Decay Reloaded palette, which I do have a full review and thoughts, opinion, eye look, all of that. I will link it up here for you guys if you are curious. I did a really pretty, like, light coral cut crease moment. It was super cute. I actually really like that eye look. I recreated it the other day just because I was like, damn, like, I like this a lot. So if you're curious, you can go ahead and check that video out. So I'm going to go ahead and take a little bit more of my e.l.f. Camo concealer just to prime the lid real quick here. And then we're going to get started with this eye look. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that base tacky, and I'm going to start off with the 26S, which is the more paddle, fluffy paddle kind of brush. And I think I'm going to take the shade Boundaries, which is this nice shade right here. So I'm just kind of starting this color lightly, packing it onto the outer V, and then turning the paddle brush kind of up onto its side and fanning out the color and diffusing the edges a little bit. Wow, that's actually working quite nicely. Okay guys, so one thing I can tell you right now about this brush is I'm so shocked, dead ass, that I like it as much as I do, because you can do so much with this. It actually works perfectly for packing on to the outer V, but then you can also kind of turn it on its side and run the color this way up onto the brow bone. You can really diffuse it, make it look nice and airy. I want to grab the shade Bucked right here. I'm just going to take that shade on the outer V right here and keep it nice and tucked inside of the other color we just did, and just keep blending the two together, just deepening up the outer V. So at this point, let me just tell you, I want to continue taking that same brush, and I want to take Endgame and work it onto the outer V. But I think it's only fair that we take the other one, the 27S, and go in with the shade Endgame and work on deepening up the outer V, because y'all, I gotta give this brush a fair shake too, but I'm just like, I'm so obsessed with the other brush, I almost forgot that this one existed. So we're gonna go ahead here and take this one, pack it onto the outer V ever so slightly here. Ooh, interesting. So this brush doesn't have quite the blunted stoutness that a typical pencil brush has. It does have a little bit of fluidity, a little bit of movement to it. And the reason that's significant is because it's allowing me to move the eyeshadow around my lid, but it isn't tugging at all. Because typically when you have a pencil brush that's stout, it'll actually tug on your lid, or it'll cause your eyeshadow to skip. And this one doesn't do that. It has just a slight amount of fluidity that allows it a little wiggle room, but not too much that it's not precise either. Now I'm gonna go ahead and take the 26S here, and I'm just going to color switch it off, because I want to try something, and don't laugh at me, but I want to see if I can do a cut crease with this, because it does have like the profile kind of the flat packer brush, and I just want to see like how multi-use is this brush. So if I don't try, guys, I'll never know. So I'm going to grab some of my e.l.f. Camo concealer here in the light sand, and I am going to attempt a cut crease. Wish me luck. Guys, I don't know why that worked so well, but it really did. Like, it just laid down perfectly. I'm so confused right now. So I'm going to grab the shade Bribe right here, which is the light bone colored shade at the very end of the palette. And I'm going to take the same brush that I just cut the crease with, and I'm going to set it with that shade. All right, so I went ahead and I got both eyes all set down, and on the second eye, I did have a little bit of a harder time getting the line to be as precise, but it still did work very well given the actual profile and the fluff that this brush has. I'm pretty impressed. Now I'm gonna take the other one, the pencil style, and I'm gonna take a little bit of the shade Endgame, and I'm just going to lightly blend that in on the outer V here, just to make sure everything is nice and blended. And then I'm actually gonna take the other brush and go in and just blend out my edges a little. Grab a little bit of the shade Boundaries and just blend it in. There we go. Just create a little bit more of a fade with it. Now I'm just taking that dark shade Endgame and I'm just drawing that down onto the bottom lash line just a little bit. And now I'm going to take the other eye brush and I'm going to grab the shade Boundaries, and I'm just going to use that to lightly diffuse the darker shade on the lower lash line. All right, so now that the eyes are done, I went ahead and moved you guys back out because now we're gonna move on to some highlight. But before we do that, y'all know I gotta spray my face down, and I'm gonna be going in with the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Rose. This is their 3-in-1 Primer Water Prep Set and Refresh. I did a full review of all of the recent Wet n Wild launches. I will link it up here for you guys if you're curious, and I'm still testing this one out. So now to test out the highlight, I do want to go in here with the big old fluffy fan brush. So I'm actually just kind of taking and very lightly color switching off because I did use this for bronzer as well. All right, so it looks like I got the brush pretty good and wiped off. I'm going to be going in now and I'm taking, girl, my Amrezy highlight, and we're going to be putting this brush to the test. So I'm just going to go ahead here and dive in, grab a little bit on her, wipe her off, and just see how she handles the Amrezy, because girl, if you can't hang with my Amrezy, you cannot hang with me. Ooh, I quite like that actually. Oh my god, like that's so pretty. And I feel like I'm actually getting a lot more precision with this brush than I thought I would, because it actually has a slight pointed taper at the top of the fan that I feel like gives you more precision if you want it, like you can go in at that angle, or if you just want to really broadly kind of sweep the cheek like you do with bronzer, you can go in and give it more of a side tilt and then you get a lot more bristle action. Like I've always loved a big old fluffy fan brush, but one of my biggest complaints with them is that you cannot be precise, and this one, because of that light taper at the top, it's so precise, like so much more precise than you would think. Now I'm just going to take the Fluffy Style eyeshadow brush. I'm going to use that for some brow bone highlight real quick and some inner eye highlight as well. Ooh, you know what? While we're at it, let's do the little, he said you could also do precise nose highlight with. Yep, worked absolutely perfectly and looks so cute. You know what, guys, while I'm on the topic, I was just sitting here wondering about like the baking aspect of these brushes, and typically when I go in and I want to brighten up like my forehead or my jawline, it's usually my jawline that I have the issue with, and I'll go in and I'll add a powder, like a translucent powder, like my Laura Mercier for example, and I'll add it with my sponge and kind of cut it in, and I'm wondering with this brush if I would be able to go in and apply it and get the soft line that I'm looking for. I'm just going to take that Laura Mercier powder and kind of apply some right there. I think I'll also do a little bit like right on my smile lines because I always like to brighten this area up as well. Alright guys, so it has been a couple minutes now and I'm just going to go ahead and take this other brush here and sweep that away. Yeah, guys, that completely worked. You can see like it all has that nice brightness to it, but it didn't go in and leave me with like a super chiseled line. It's a slight line, but it's not like super cut like if I would have used a beauty blender to it. That's really nice. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and just finish up the rest of my makeup. I'm gonna spray with my Wet n Wild Photo Focus and then my Catrice Dewy Glow Setting Spray. Curling my lashes up to Jesus. Then I'm taking my IT Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. I'm gonna layer it up, girl. Okay, you guys, this is the finished look. I did go ahead and throw on a little lip here. This is the Essence Insta-Care lipstick, and this is in the shade Sandy Sunrise, and I really like it. It's super comfortable, and it's like a perfect light nude to kind of round out this whole look. Now, before I went ahead and closed out this video, I did want to give you guys my final thoughts on these brushes as a collection, as individuals, because we did just go through and use them to apply almost the entire face, and I'm actually so impressed. So across the board, I can say all 4 brushes are very nice, very smooth. They all diffuse very well, but they're also precise when they need to be. And I think that that's what makes his brushes so double duty. Because when I was off of camera just now, going through, finishing stuff up, pinning up my hair, I was trying to figure out like, how is it possible that these 4 brushes that have such fluid movements to them and have such beautiful ways of sculpting the face, how are they so precise and so diffusible at the same time? And I kept asking myself that. And I think it's because with each brush, even in the way you look at it, when you break it down to its most basic form, every single brush has precision and fluidity. Like take this brush for example, it has a precise point to it, but it has this beautiful movement to it that allows you to go be precise, but then diffuse it. Same with the fan brush. It has this beautiful, nice, precise comb at the very top of it, but then it has this beautiful movement from side to side, from front to back, and you can do so much with it because it has that fluidity, but it also has has that nice precise top. And it's the same with the eye brushes. And I feel like with this collection specifically, that is what makes it so impressive. And I just think that is so incredible. And even for the eyeshadow portion, both of those brushes worked beautiful. They blended amazingly. I kept going in and color switching, and they kept cleaning off nicely. They didn't fray. They didn't start to lose bristles. There wasn't any shedding at all, which is great. Now, the last thing I want to talk about before I end this video, and then I promise y'all are done, is how do these stack up against his Real Hair brushes? Those are his pride and joy. Those are what everyone knows and loves. And I'm assuming everyone at this point, just like myself, wants to know, are these just as good? And guys, these are 100%, in my opinion, just as good. They work beautifully. They blend amazingly. They have the exact same touch and feel to them. And with that being said, you guys, that is it. Thank you all so much for watching. Again, please be sure to leave me your thoughts on this collection down below. What are you thinking? Yes, no, love it, hate it? I love, love, love hearing from you guys and just getting your thoughts and feedback on not only my videos, but also the products I review. So let me know all of your thoughts down below. And while you're down there, please do not forget, you can scuttle on up to the description box. I will have my Instagram and my Twitter linked in there if you would like to follow me. Y'all know I'm on the quest to be verified, and I would greatly appreciate it. And if you have not yet, you can also subscribe and turn on your notifications, because y'all, I put up new videos 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It is a good, fun, fresh lit time over here where we talk about everything makeup, new, old, loves it, hate it, favorites, whatever the case may be, we talk about it here. And I love hanging out with you guys, and we do it a lot. So definitely subscribe if that sounds like something you are into. And guys, that is it. Thank you all again so much for watching. Please do not forget to have a great day, night, weekend, whatever it is when you're watching this, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Paige, I really wish you knew what was going on with your hair, because like, I don't even know. All right, so I went in today with wonderful, okay, relatively light eye look. And Wayne said, okay, should I call him Wayne or Mr. Goss? Because I feel weird saying both. If you're, okay, okay. Well, you know, just me crawling up on this table again. Hello, hi, how you doing? What's going on? What's your name? Hello. Goodbye.